So there's an aspect of um, faith, I guess. I don't mean that in the religious sense, but when I got to Neiman Marcus, just a quick story. When I got to Neiman Marcus, we were, and I had a number of the things that me and my team were trying to drive, most of them around busting the silos and seeing the customers, the channel. I mean, those were ideas that I carried with me from Sears. And we had a very siloed culture at Neiman's. It was very difficult for a bunch of reasons, which is a longer story to make those changes. But Nordstrom um, was making a lot of the changes. And I didn't, I kind of knew they didn't have a business case. I've subsequently learned that they didn't really have a business case. But the belief on the part of the team, the leadership there, it's a family-led company for the most part. They had at the center of the way they thought about their business, putting the customer first. Now that was very much when the customer comes into the shoe department or whatever, like it was a sales process in store. But as e-commerce started to become obviously a bigger part of what was going on, and people were going to the web before coming into the store. I mean, we saw that 15 years ago. It's not a new phenomenon. Uh, Nordstrom somehow got to the point where they said, part of that customer first mantra means we have to facilitate um, the customer sales process in the best way. So if you come into a store and we don't have it in stock, we have to figure out a way to get it to you. And the way to get it to you is to ship it to your home or office from our e-commerce stock. So we have to change point of sale to make that happen. So they made a leap of faith that the world was going to end up in it very different, and that even though we couldn't carve out a business case that says, here's the ROI in the next 3 years, we just believe that's fundamentally the right thing to do. And I think all visionary leaders, it's kind of like we're going to the moon, right? Like that's where we're going, and we're going to move in that direction. That doesn't mean you have to make some difficult decisions along the way, but I think that's the starting point. Leaders have to articulate a vision. They have to say we have these fundamental beliefs and values, and that's going to guide our decisions. And we believe in the long run it will work out. But more tactically, it gets back to what I was saying earlier. I think while it's difficult to do all this attribution, you don't have to not do it just because you can't do it perfectly. I think you make the best business case, and lots of retailers have figured out how to better measure the impact on the customer, even though the attribution is difficult. So I think you start at a high level and you keep working your way through it. But I mean, it's like anything. When you say you're customer centric, you have to force yourself to say, okay, well, what does that mean? What does being customer centric look like? Not as a poster in the break room, but what would have to be true in the future for us to say we've gone from being a 6 in terms of being customer centric to a 9 or 10. And I think a lot of, it's just like omni-channel too. Oh, we're going to be omni-channel. And then you ask, well, okay, what does that even mean? And you get 20 different definitions. So I think it's putting meat on the bones, so to speak, around what some of these things mean. I always ask sorry, it's a very rambling answer, but I almost always ask clients. I just had a call yesterday with a big retailer I'm starting to work with, and they were articulating their vision for some things. And I said, well, okay, well, tell me what good looks like. Just describe it. Describe before, describe after. Like when this is successful, what will you be able to say and measure? And it's surprising to me sometimes that that's not done. It's done in a very general way, or because you can't do it perfectly, you don't do it at all. And I think that's a real missed opportunity.